This is the Hard Thing Podcast. Today, we are overcoming average. Welcome back to another episode of the Hard Thing Podcast. This is the podcast that helps you overcome average, step up above mediocrity, all by doing hard things. Today is our Thursday show, so I want to welcome you to The Forge. A big announcement, we're actually changing the name of the Thursday show again, and it will no longer be called Thursday Meditations, and instead we're going to call it The Forge because on these shows, Ty and I take raw material ourselves and we put it under heat and pressure. We put challenges to ourselves and we try and do hard things in order to make that material stronger. So that's the goal of this Thursday show, and hopefully you can do the same thing in your life. So let's get into the show. Ty, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I think I have COVID, but I think, I'll be fine.
well, hopefully you do feel fine because there's just way too much going on nowadays for you to kick the bucket. So
yeah,
anyways.
I'm actually hoping it's COVID because then I can just kind of have it over with. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, seriously. That's what my family back in like my extended family or my in-laws back in the summer, all of us were like super sick. And only my father-in-law went and got tested, but he didn't have COVID, but we all kind of think that we did. And it makes us feel a little bit happier and a little bit more secure, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into today's show. First thing we talk about always is the challenge that one of us gave to the other one. I believe that it's your turn to talk about how your challenge went. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the challenge that Justin gave me 2 weeks ago was to, begin a new hobby. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had talked about doing jujitsu, which I still think that we should do, but that is not what I ended up doing. So I actually ended up choosing hunting.
Really?
Yeah. My brother-in-law, he hunts, and I think it would be a fun activity to do with him. And I love camping. I love backpacking. And so meshing that with like a hobby where you have to be doing that to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
I think was a good thing. So yeah, so I text him and I was like, hey, what's the hunter's starter pack? You know, like what do I gotta do to move down that road? And he was like, well, first you gotta do your hunter's education, which is a lot of education.
Really?
Well, I mean, for a license, it felt like it was maybe, I don't know. It was basically all day yesterday is what I did. I did it was 16 chapters and each chapter was like an hour. It felt like maybe that's not true. Cause if it was yesterday, anyways, it took a long time.
Right.
And then I have to go do a field day. So, I'm going to go do that. And then I'm going to buy a gun, which I already have a couple guns, but I want to buy a gun specific for hunting.
Right.
So
like a rifle or
Yeah. I don't own a rifle. Yeah. I have a handgun and a shotgun, but I want to get a rifle now. And Black Friday is a couple days away. And so at the time of the recording here. So yeah, I'm going to wait till that happens, go to Cabela's maybe and buy a gun. Either that or my brother-in-law said that he has a friend that can sell a specific rifle for pretty cheap, for the type that it is anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and check that off as being completed because I can't really go hunting until I have the tags and everything, but I began the process of hunting. So
that's really, really cool. You'll have to let me know when you do hunt, and if you do kill something on that first go around, you'll have to let me know how it goes. Cause, I would love to go hunting personally, but I have not come to the grips or made my peace with killing things. I can't kill spiders. I feel so bad. Such a wimp.
So in the hunter's education, it was talking about how like you're supposed to dress the animal as quick as possible so that the body heat doesn't spoil the meat. And which basically that means is you have to cut it open and take out the entrails, all the guts, as quick as possible. And I was just thinking about it. Like they were talking about how you start from the butthole of the animal and then you cut to the breast or to the throat. And I was just thinking like, man, I don't know if I could actually do any of this. Like it sounds so, but that being said, I mean, really what I want to do this for, I want to learn the skill of hunting because it like it's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
If things go south, like I always have that to rely on. Like I can always go hunting, and as long as I have the skill, I understand how it's done, like how to find the animals and everything. That's really what I want to do it for, is preparation. I always like the idea of being prepared. So
definitely. And I do definitely like the idea of being the one who is involved with procuring your own food. I mean, I eat meat, and obviously there's that mental disconnect of you can't kill something personally, but you're perfectly fine having someone else kill it and slaughter it for you and harvest that meat. And I do think that it would be a great thing and a great hurdle to overcome and do that. But you also have to let me know how it goes, because Michaela, like I said, my wife is super interested in hunting for some reason.
She is.
Yeah, she has a bloodthirsty spirit, more than I do. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. It's a good excuse to buy another gun.
Yeah.
And it's also another excuse to like go camping for a long period of time, rather than just like go hike up a mountain for a day and come back down. I love the camping experience. And so
that's awesome. Well, I am thoroughly pleased with how that challenge went. Some challenges don't actually have to be on the outset hard, but they do have to make us think in certain ways that are technically hard, because they're not how we normally think and push us outside of our comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about the action items from this last Monday's podcast guest. So this last Monday, I talked to Tommy Parker, excellent conversation, awesome guy. And he gave us 3 action items. And 1 was to set your destination. 2 was find out what are the hardest things of reaching that destination and do those first. And then 3, build your team. So Ty, what are your thoughts with these action items?
So set your destination. That just kind of sounds like set your goal.
Yeah.
Is that right? I mean,
yeah. Like is that what only you can decide where you're going to go, basically.
Right. I think of course it's so important, because if you don't have a destination, then you're going to be constantly you're always moving towards something.
Right.
And if you don't have a destination, then you're moving towards whatever the current takes you,
Yeah.
And that could be a good thing. I mean, in some cases, some people, like if you watch, I know this isn't a true story, but if you watch Forrest Gump, like he kind of just goes with the flow and ends up like buying Apple or Apple stock. And then he ends up doing all these cool things with his life. And so it could be a good thing, but typically I would say that it would lead you down a path that isn't going to be like beneficial to you. I would say generally speaking, that's how it is. And so yeah, having like a destination, having something that you can look at and decide like, I want to work towards that, then I think it's so important. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, he constantly quotes Alice in Wonderland, where the Red Queen says you have to run as fast as you can just to stay in the same place here. And that's freaking true, especially in today's day and age. If you don't have a clear goal, a clear vision of where you want to be, you will find yourself in dire straits. And actually, citing a TV show that both you and I really enjoy, the show Alone.
Right.
I think you remarked it to me first, that the people who always seem to have like a project are the ones who make it through. Like the people who, once they got their necessities down, they're like, oh, I'm setting about to make this wall bigger in my shelter, or make it so this is easier to do, or something. Those people always seem to have an easier time, specifically emotionally, being able to stay in the game and keep their level head, because they have a goal and a purpose. And when they reach that, they then set another one. So I think that's another important aspect of this, set a destination, because they found with a lot of football athletes, once they're out of the game, like once NFL players leave the game, a lot of them just kind of squander their money. They have, this identity crisis. And you and I both went on missions, and I could definitely say when I came home from my mission, I kind of felt that same thing, and even leaving high school after playing football, because that was the only thing that mattered, football. The mission was the only thing that mattered. And so being able to craft your identity, craft your destination, and bridge that gap, I think is key.
Yeah, I actually think you bringing up alone is super something interesting that we could talk about. Excuse me. Once again, I have COVID, so or I think I do anyway. So I'm struggling to breathe and I have to cough a lot. But the thing that I find interesting is what you were saying. So I feel like the people that had a goal ended up feeling like they overcame the challenge of being alone. I think they overcame the challenge. Mm-hmm. And so they ended up, to your point, to me, it was almost like some of these people actually ended up going home early because they were like, well, I've already built a house. I built a boat. I have all these things. Like I've already proven that I can do this. So I'm just going to go home. So maybe they didn't necessarily win however much money they win at the end of the show. Because I was paying attention, some of the people that actually won the show, they were constantly having issues with food. So they never got past the point. They never got to the point where they were building projects necessarily, but they always were like, food, I need food. Because they never had like a consistent stream of food that they were able to figure out. And so they never technically overcame being alone. And so then they ended up being out longer. So it's interesting that you bring that up because I can see it going both ways, but really it's that the people that had projects, they end up going home because they feel like they overcame the problem of being alone in the first place.
So maybe the key is instead of setting destinations, to set kind of a meta destination, rather than I want to achieve this in my business, maybe set like a bigger goal that is one that you probably won't reach. And I don't really have a good example, but I think those are more of kind of character type goals. Like this is who I will become. And the second you think, oh yeah, I've definitely become humble, you're like, wait a second, maybe you should check that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then what about doing the hardest things first?
Doing the hardest things first. We've had this one a lot too, actually. A lot of people say like do the most important things first, and really it is true because, and this is something that we've talked about before, where I think the things that you want to do, you will end up doing it because you want to do it. Mm-hmm. And the things that are hard are usually things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you do need to do them. Yeah. And so if you do the things you want, then your time is going to be filled and you're not going to have any time to do the things you need to do. Yeah. And so if you just do the things you need to do, generally speaking, they're not going to take up all that time. And then you have time left over to do the things you want to, because you're going to make time to do the things you want to, because you want to. So yeah, I think that one's interesting because that one's one that we keep getting over and over again. Yeah. And so we should really start paying attention to that one. Definitely. Do first things first, do the hard things first, do the things you need to do first. And then everything else kind of falls into place.
Yeah. One thing that this one kind of makes me think of particularly is because it was in the context of set your destination and then think about the hardest things between you and that destination and do those first. And that kind of puts an interesting spin on it because, let's put it in terms of working out, right? Let's assume that you want to have the goal of having a healthy lifestyle and a well-balanced body, right? You're fit, you're strong, and every aspect of your fitness is balanced. Well, where do you start? Okay. I would hazard to say that you should start with the thing that you least want to do, because chances are that's where you suffer the most and you suck the most. Like for me, it's like, oh, I hate burpees, so I should probably do like thousands and thousands of burpees until I'm freaking good at burpees, and then I probably won't hate them and I'll love them. I don't know about you, but doing squats, that's how I was in high school. I hated squats. And then, in the last 5 years or so, I've just done them more and more. And so now I don't hate them as much. Obviously, I still hate them because they kill your soul, but it's a different kind of hate, It's, you know what I mean? So,
well, it's like, I don't know, the same thing for me with deadlifts. Like I still don't really care for squats, but I do like them a lot more than I used to.
Right.
Because I've been doing it more.
Just legs in general.
Yeah. Just like day. But doing deadlifts is like, I love doing them because you get a lot of that weight, and it's so much pain, but you feel the blood rush and you can feel all this pressure. And then afterwards you think like, that actually felt good.
Yeah.
Like, even though it was painful and it like hurt while I was pushing through it, like it felt good. Like you just had the dopamine and everything. So yeah.
Thinking of some like examples in my own life, of kind of how this has worked out for me. Obviously I want my podcast to grow, right?
Yeah.
And I've kind of like had this thought on the back of my mind, like, hey, one of the best ways to get your podcast known is to be on other people's podcasts and stuff, right?
Right.
I kind of put that on the back burner, like, oh, I don't have anything to say. Yesterday, I was actually on a show of one of my past podcast guests. It was awesome. But that's just one example where I kept on thinking, like, I don't want to do this because that's really hard. Like finding people, pitching yourself to them and saying, I do have something to say, and then figuring out what you're going to say. That's tough. But that's something that I think moving forward, I really do need to work on in order to grow my podcast listenership. And obviously to help spread the message and hopefully to help me become a better podcaster and be able to spread this message better. So that's one example in my own personal life.
Yeah.
So, and then number 3, building your team. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that was a lot of the reason why I wanted to start doing what Justin and I call Man Council. Basically, we met once a month at least, and we kind of talked about each other's goals and how we could support each other. I think it's so important to have accountability, because if you don't have accountability, then sometimes you can let things be forgotten. Like, you might give yourself a goal, and then a month goes by and you forgot about it. And it's not that you were like actively avoiding it. It's just that you honestly forgot. And so when you have a person that's accountable a month later, you may have forgotten, but that person didn't forget, and because they have it written down or something. And then you guys talk about it. And even if you had forgotten, then like a couple days before you're going to meet with each other, you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that thing. I'm going to do it right now, or I'm going to start doing it right now. And so having a team keeps you accountable to actually achieving your goals and doing the hard things that are required to achieve your destination. And so building your team, I think that one's I don't know, is pivotal the right word?
Yeah.
It's going to change the way that you progress.
Definitely. Out of all of the action items, I guess I've gotten, I think the one that has been the most consistent has been building your team. And I've seen it in the people's stories. Constantly, there are these people where either they are put in a negative situation because of someone around them, meaning someone around them has hooks in their head and they're able to siphon poison into their brain, making this very negative mental state. On the flip side, you have, our heroes, our podcast guests, who are in these very difficult situations trying to do hard things. And there's always that pivotal person who somehow believes that they are more capable than they are. And it's not even like, oh yeah, you can do it, Frodo, or whatever, like Sam on Lord of the Rings. But it's much more simpler. It's very simple. And honestly, I was listening to a podcast the other day, right? It's one of my favorite podcasts, Order of Man. I've talked about it a bunch of times, but they have an Ask Me Anything every Wednesday. And basically they were talking about the importance of men banding together, being around other men, because iron sharpens iron, right? And I'd say the same thing for women. Women definitely, and there's, obviously I'm married to a woman, and I think men and women go together very well, but you need time with your man if you're a man, and time with your women if you're a woman, and vice versa. So after I got done listening to that, podcast, guess what I did? I called Ty up and I said, hey Ty, you want to go camping? You want to go winter camping, backpacking? That's the whole reason why I did that. Cause it was, such a reminder to me that I do need to focus on the people who are surrounding me. I need to create experiences where we can do physical things together outside, by ourselves, where we can grow and we can strengthen each other. Because one thing I do know this about men is that we strengthen each other differently than women do. And
Yeah.
maybe not in every case, but I know that we do have to kind of push each other. And sometimes even physically. I know when we were young, we would hit each other all the time. You a little bit more than me, but but that's because I grew up in a family that was like, you don't hit people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, that was the whole reason why I was like, hey, let's get a bunch of guys and go up in the mountains and have this experience, because we're not having enough of those.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. All right. Let's hop to.
Before we hop to.
Okay, go ahead.
Everyone needs to go to Audible.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, because I don't know where you go or what any of the...
I'll tell them. If you guys are sick of hearing me and Ty say, you go ahead, then there's an obvious choice to replace us. You can go to audibletrial.com/thehardthingpodcast, actually get a free audiobook and start your free 30-day trial, which means you get other audiobooks at a discount. Now, obviously, I don't want you to replace us, but I'm just joking. But seriously, you can get all sorts of books over there. I love audiobooks, and you can actually get a free one. So what's not to like? So go over there, audibletrial.com/thehardthingpodcast, get a free audiobook today.
Did you say audibletrial.com?
Yes.
/ The Hard Thing Podcast?
I did say that.
Is that just like one big word, The Hard Thing Podcast?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't put spaces in URLs, Ty. You know that.
Well, but there could be some dashes or something.
Oh yeah, no, it's just one big long word. And actually, by you getting a free audiobook, you help support the podcast, which is, we thank you for that. So thank you.
Yes, we do.
Now, let's hop to the new challenge I'm going to give you, Ty.
Yes, let's do it.
Are you
I'm
ready?
ready.
Okay, cool.
So ready.
Number 1, hire, work with, or reach out to and start the process of working with a coach, mentor, therapist, leader, or fill in whatever word that fits what you're looking for. Personal trainer, whatever.
Self-help type deal.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not self-help. It's like external self-help.
Sure.
So that's number 1. Number 2, think of all of your many side little projects and gizmos that you're building, and I want you to finish one of them.
Finish one?
All the way to the end.
Justin, I can't finish one.
And then the last one is attend the religious services of another faith.
Okay, that's interesting. These are all pretty good. I like them. Attend another religious service. How interesting.
Yeah.
I have to think because...
You're fine. While you think, I'm actually going to give another announcement to our audience. Obviously, because since we're both recording, I'm not going to edit this at all. But big announcement. You can actually go and support us on Patreon now. So you can go to, I don't actually have the link, but I'll put it in the show notes. So you can go to the show notes, support us, go to Patreon. You can actually sign up. There are 2 tiers right now. So if you donate $3 a month, you can submit a challenge to me or Ty and basically raise it to the top of the pile. So we might not choose it, but it will probably like 100%, maybe 99.9% be in our list of 3 choices for the other person. So that's,
and to be honest, we have a pretty non-exhaustive list of challenges. So if you give us a challenge, even if we don't choose it the first time, like it'll get cycled through again. We'll be
definitely. And then the second tier, you can donate $5 and actually ask a question to one of our guests on the podcast. So in one of the interviews that I have, you'll send me the question, I'll ask it to the guest, and then I will shout out you on the episode. So that's the second tier. And definitely reach out to us if you have any questions, but we'd love your support. Help us make this podcast better. Help us give you better content, get better guests on the show. Go to the link in the show notes to donate to us on Patreon. Ty, any thoughts?
So
do you still need some time thinking?
Well, the thing is like, so the self-help one, like I kind of get that from my current job.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something that I'll need to focus on. But the side project one, I'm leaning towards that one, but I'm trying to think of the project that I want to complete.
Well, you don't have to know. I mean, you could always finish your model of the motor, the engine.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I'm
you
into
could
that one.
finally upload a song to Spotify.
Well, I mean, I got that one uploaded to SoundCloud. Spotify is like a process that you have to work with other people, which makes it hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, it I don't even know if it makes it hard. It's just it makes it an extra step that I have to take.
Yeah. All right.
But side project, finish a side project. That's what I'm going to do.
Excellent. Listeners, if you guys want to join with Ty on this challenge, go ahead and do so. We'd love to see the pictures of the side projects you complete. So reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram at The Hard Thing Podcast. We will actually feature your images on our social media if you have them, and if they're appropriate, obviously. Don't forget the hashtag The Hard Thing Podcast weekly challenge. Make sure we see those. We'd love to feature you and give you some shout outs. Also, we were going to do the Murph Week this week. I think we are postponing that because one, Ty got sick. Two, I'm an idiot because I didn't realize that the Murph was more than it was. Funny story, I was actually doing the Murph 2 days in a row, and then Ty texted me and said, hey, the Murph you're doing is kind of like a wimpy Murph, basically. And that really disheartened me because they're so hard. Anyways, that's how it goes. So we're probably going to do the Murph Week next week. So if you guys want to join with us then. Ty, any other parting words for our beloved audience?
Stay real, guys. Do hard things.
Yeah, do hard things, guys. Stay tuned for a Monday show. We're going to have awesome guests this Monday. Reach out to us on social media, again, at The Hard Thing Podcast, Facebook and Instagram. But like always, I almost forgot Operation Underground Railroad. How could I forget? What the heck?
Oh, man.
As always, I'd like to invite you guys, especially this time of year when we're thinking so much about family and how grateful we are of things. There are a lot of children out there who are in terrible situations where they don't know where their family is, or worse, their family is responsible for them having been sold into slavery. And when I say slavery, I mean sex trafficking, slavery, forced servitude, all of it. It's alive and well, but it's hidden. And there's a company, not a company, but there's a nonprofit organization that actually sheds light on these evils and seeks to eradicate them. So if you want to help us support Operation Underground Railroad, go to GoFundMe.com/overcoming-average, or just go to ourrescue.org, donate some money there, get to know their message, and help rescue these kids that need our help. Honestly, they don't have anyone else. No one else cares. So if no one else cares, maybe you and I can care. So with that, I will send you guys out. Keep doing hard things because you will overcome average.